I am Quo, and we are with this instrument at this time. We thank each of you here for allowing us to come to you in the love and the light of the one infinite Creator. It is a great honor to speak to this circle of seekers who have shared their hearts in a way that is inspiring to us. For we know what you must deal with in your third density illusion beyond the veil of forgetting. You, however, have awakened. You have penetrated that veil to some degree, and you see that there is much more to your life than you have ever known before. Each day you move forward on your spiritual journeys. So we thank you again for being vulnerable, for being here, for being together, and for having queries that you may ask us. At this time, we will ask if there is a query with which we may begin.
I have one. The last time I was here, I had asked about how one could go about channeling, and you had mentioned that contacting your higher self was a safe way for an individual to do that. And I was wondering if you had advice on how one might connect to his or her higher self, and how one might know that it was indeed their higher self, but not a different entity posing as the higher self.
I am Quo. We appreciate your query, my brother. This is the query which very few people would even have the desire to ask, or the knowledge that such could be asked. Your higher self is yourself at the middle of what you would call the sixth density, where you may feel the presence of the Creator in a, shall we say, step-down fashion. We would suggest that you use the method of meditation to prepare yourself for a communication with the higher self that is willing to speak to you if you have questions about some facet of your spiritual journey back into unity with the one infinite Creator. Those questions are a portion of a puzzle that you are putting together each day that you walk your spiritual journey. So the questions must be formed from your heart, that which is most important to know, questions that are spiritual in nature, concerning how you may be of service to others. But before you ask the question, we would suggest that you determine what in your life has so much meaning for you that you would not only live for it, but would give your life for it. This is something that might be a concept such as unity. If you are a Christian, it might be Jesus the Christ. If you're a Buddhist, it might be the Buddha. No one else can do this for you. We cannot do it for you. It is something you must determine for yourself. Then in your meditation, take that question and ask it. And when you feel the presence of your higher self that is willing to answer, first ask them if they come in the name of that quality or person that you have chosen to live by, that you would die by, if necessary. Then you must use your intuition, the feeling that comes back to you. It could be a word such as yes. And it is well to repeat that challenge, maybe even another time, so that you have a confirmation that you have a positive entity on the line, shall we say. Then ask that question, and once you have received a response, ponder that question for as long as necessary, until you feel that you have an answer that is important, is valid, and is usable in your daily life, whatever situation you are in. Is there a further query, my brother?
I think that answers my question. Thank you.
I am Quo, and we thank you, my brother, for that very important question. We reiterate through this instrument our gratitude for being invited to join you in your circle of seeking. From a limited perspective, it may seem as though you gather with a desire to receive that which we have to offer. However, we recognize a fuller dynamic at play as you come together as seekers, that your desire is not just to receive, but also to radiate. This desire is innate in your hearts as you share your beingness through your round robin. It is innate in your very desire to receive what we have to offer, for we recognize that as seekers upon the path of service to others, your desire to receive is indeed a desire to inform and refine and purify that which you radiate out into your world. We also receive much in this dynamic, for we are not just coming to give advice and insight, but rather to share in this giving and receiving. We receive your own beingness as we join you. We receive your desire to receive and radiate. We receive you as a whole and join with you to unify with your circle so that we all together may radiate into your world the love and the light of the one infinite Creator that it so desperately calls for. And we come to you not as authorities, but rather as fellow seekers, and join hands with you, side by side, hoping that together we may discover that truth within us, all of our beingness, as that one infinite creator. At this time, we would ask if there is a query to which we may respond. We are Quo.
Yes, my question is, how best to integrate the human element with the spiritual, particularly as we transcend and our dense bodies become lighter and our spiritual bodies seek out even greater dimensions of reality. How do we keep those from separating into two distinct realities?
I am Quo and am aware of the query, my sister. We find this query rich with depth and a desire to understand the fullness of the spiritual journey of the seeker, with the understanding that the journey of the seeker is not simply to escape and transcend what you may see as the human element of your reality, what has been called the mundane world by some. Indeed, the journey of the seeker is that which you have identified as integration. We find within this instrument the term that he has adopted on his own spiritual journey given to him by some of his teachers, that dynamic that can be identified as transcend and include, rather than transcend and reject. This is the heart of how we would approach a query, such you have asked. The dynamic that you speak about, the increasing vibration, as you say, upon your planet, the evolution of you as a species and you as individuals to enter the next density, or as some call it, the next dimension, is indeed seeming to be a transcendence. It is seeming that you are elevating and going above what you have experienced as a very dense, difficult, mundane world, a world that is veiled. A world where the love and the light of the one infinite creator is not readily apparent. And through this hiding of the one infinite creator in every moment, many stories of illusion can unfold, and many realities can be adopted by each individual in which their perspective becomes limited, and the appearance of the lightness, the higher vibration, is hidden from them so that they can embody fully and believe fully in their limited nature. This belief in limitation, though an illusion, is essential to the desire of the one infinite creator that has cast out itself into creation so that it may have an experience, so that it can come to know itself more and more through your experience of this limitation. This is an important point, you may say, of this query. For the Creator itself desired you and it, the one being, to experience limitation, to become human, as you have said in your query, to understand to the greatest depths the humanity of your experience, to hide the apparent love and light that should be available in every moment and yet seems to not be. This is the desire of the Creator, for you to experience this. Thus, though it may not seem so in any given moment where difficulty and pain and suffering are the predominant experience, you, at some level of your being and your heart, as a spark of the one infinite Creator, have desired to experience this limitation. You have desired to enter into humanity and to experience it fully. And the role that you have adopted and agreed to before incarnating here into your dense planet was to experience this and attempt to integrate it, as you say, to bring about an awareness that it is not actually separate. The separation that you experience is an illusion. To see through that illusion into the love and the light that is always present, that is within you and about you, no matter your circumstances and no matter the vibration of your experience, whether it feels lighter or it feels denser. The entire notion of this journey through varying levels of vibration is the plan of the Creator. But this plan, as we have identified it, is an illusion. The love and the light is present infinitely in the lowest vibration that you may experience and in the highest vibration that you experience. It is all a game, you may say. It is all a play upon a stage, no matter what the actor is experiencing or expressing within the play. The actor is still not the thing itself. The actor remains the actor upon the stage. They are simply expressing themselves in one way or another. The key to, as you have asked, integrating humanity as you attempt to navigate the elevating vibration is to continually, through a habit of meditation, touch back into that original desire, that desire that identifies the illusion as an illusion, but also appreciates it as a plan of the one infinite creator. That in the seeming imperfection of whatever it is you are experiencing, whatever difficulty it is gifting to you, it is imbued with the infinite love of the creator, no matter what. This is not necessarily a mindset that you can maintain through your journey of difficulty within your density. The plan is that, though you may taste this truth that all is one and that one is love, you will forget it. There will be people, situations, and experiences that move you from this central awareness within your heart that the lower or higher vibrations are all the same. They are all the one creator, but you will experience them as varying experiences, and this is as it is supposed to be. This is perfect. Even those experiences that you cannot realize as perfect in the moment indeed are perfect. Whatever the outer experience, to integrate this is to continually take it within yourself, whether in the moment or later at the end of your day, or perhaps at a point in your life where you are afforded more opportunity to look within and to reflect upon that experience. Then find that place within your heart, the sanctum of the silence of the Creator that allows these experiences to exist and unfold without judgment, without the need to evaluate, without the need to assess whether it is human or divine, without the need to assess whether it is lower or higher vibration, and allow it to be fully within you. Allow the love of the Creator to fill you as you experience it within yourself. Then the realization will dawn that it is indeed perfect, even though it may, from a human level, hurt. And it may, from a human level, seem like the most difficult and awful experience. But from the infinite scale of the one infinite Creator and the infinite love of the Creator, it too is fully imbued with the love and perfection of that one infinite Creator. Is there a further query, my sister?
No, thank you. Namaste for that very thorough answer. It's very clear. Thank you.
I am Quo, and we thank you, my sister. We appreciate the opportunity to speak to this very central query. We bring our focal point of awareness to this gathered circle of spiritual seekers, those who have borne much in their hearts upon their long, multi-incarnational journeys and wandering, and who have awakened that inner spark, that inner light, and have tethered their will and faith to the calling and beckoning of this light, that they may awaken from the dream of separation to the truth of oneness. With honor and gratitude, we would ask if we may share our thoughts to a query, with the caveat that we come not bearing answers per se, but thoughts, energy, and ideas upon the topic at hand that you may consider and use as a springboard for your own inner contemplation and use of catalyst upon your journey. We are those of Quo.
Hi, Quo. Thank you for being with us. Unconditional love and gratitude to you. I was wondering if you could offer any words of comfort or insight to those of our brothers and sisters who find themselves in the midst of intense catalyst, such as those currently living in the company of war, and are seeing up close and personal the deaths of neighbors and sometimes friends and family as they struggle to avoid such violence themselves. Could you offer any words of comfort or insight to them, please? Thank you.
We are those of Quo. We see and appreciate the love and the empathy and the brother-sisterhood that motivates this question, our sister. Indeed, there are many words and no words that we could offer those of your people who find themselves ensnared in these circumstances of immense suffering and anguish, where separation is accentuated and taken to its maximum dark side, where the Creator is, shall we say, playing its farthest out game of forgetting to such an extent that violence, the stripping of dignity, the oppression, the harsh words, becomes acceptable, necessary, desirable. To those positively oriented beings in such circumstances, the questions may be many and critical. Questions particularly around faith, the meaning and purpose of it all, the fairness and rightness of it all, particularly as, in these situations, the scales of justice seem to be wholly out of order. Those known to the self as those who love, those who care, those who are humble may fall under the axe or the boot. Why do such things happen? Why, in simple terms, do bad things happen to good people? This is a perennial question of third density and of your planet in particular, and many are the religious and philosophical and spiritual systems that attempt to grapple with this most difficult question, including in our own verbose ways. The resolutions and balances and insight into these questions can be illuminated to some degree with words and thoughts, and it is well to engage in this practice of study. But ultimately, the peace which is sought by those experiencing war or other accompanying difficulties is that which is sought within the self, within their primary, fundamental, and inalienable connection to the Creator. In most earthly situations, the entity is unlikely to find peace, harmony, and justice upon an outer level. The confusion, the sinkhole of indifference, the coexisting of polarized beings on planet Earth practically guarantees that. Thus, such an entity, particularly in the grossly distorted and imbalanced situation of war, or societal fragmentation, or conflict of one variety or another, will likely have a less than fruitful journey to attempt to find redress and balance and peace by looking outward for it. Instead, we would encourage such a seeker to look within, to be within, to seek within. This is not to recommend that the entity wipe away the scenes of trauma and suffering that may be around them to one degree or another. It is not to ignore these things, but to go deeper and to see beyond them to the truth which underlies all situations. Whether the situation is that of a family reunion in the sun with hearts opened all around, or it is the fighting in the streets, or the government crackdown, underneath these finite circumstances that have beginnings and endings in time, there is eternity. There is that which has never begun and thus will never end. That is to say, has never been born and will never die. There is the infinite realm, the ground of the seeker's being, the true nature. This does not change due to what may be transpiring in the outer world. However horrendous, by reasonable value judgments, those circumstances may be, within is a love that encompasses and shines freely to all beings, even those who commit atrocity. Within is a light that illuminates all things and sees clearly. Within is an eternal power, a power to be oneself, a power to accept the moment, a power that cannot be taken by any ill-intentioned neighbor or any militia or any government or anyone holding a weapon. That power is native to the self. It is one's birthright, and it gives one the capacity to stand up straight, shall we say, to keep that precious inner channel open to the peace of the one in the face of great outer difficulty. The strength and resilience to process and honor the emotions one may be experiencing, this tapping of the inner light and awareness of the inner light, is not the banishment of the, shall we say, human dimension of form and identity. The entity does not become immune to tears and pain of self or others. But what this power, love, and wisdom, this infinite energy within, can do is to expand the container of consciousness within which these challenging catalysts occur in the self, so that the flash of anger and hatred that may wish to do harm to the harm giver, or the moment of despair, or the overcoming with tears in the witness of loss, personal or otherwise, may be held within the self with respect and honor in a heart of love. Love for that which one is experiencing, love for others in clear seeing of the ignorance with which others commit their harm. In awakening from the dream and gradation of degrees, one comes more clearly into an awareness of just how unconscious and asleep many are within the illusion. Not in a judgmental sense, not with a sense of superiority or denigration, but with a sacred respect for the game that the one infinite creator itself is playing of forgetting. With great respect for the entities upon their journey in the realization that these other selves, asleep though they may be, forever and always have their hands upon the wheel and their foot at the ready for the brakes or the accelerator of awakening. There is, shall we say, an understanding of the tangled nature of conflict that locks sleeping beings into patterns of unconscious reactivity in the ways that violence begets violence and control begets control. This can all be seen and held within the heart of one. We do not say that this, in any respect, is easy or is a simple act of one choice one exercise of will. This capacity to love in the face of hatred, while it may be natural to some few entities, is quite often the fruit of disciplined work upon the self. What challenging circumstances offer, whether it is, as you have described, the war-torn situation, or it is of any nature of personal loss or limitation or suffering, is very powerful catalyst that, if used, gives the entity the opportunity to accelerate their journey. We understand this may be misconstrued as if to mean use this opportunity for self-gain and advance your own progression towards the One. This is not at the heart of our intention of what we mean. The original desire is that entities seek and become one. No entity may do this for another. Instead, it is only the entity itself who pursues this original desire to seek and become one. This is in alignment with the universe itself. This is in alignment with the entity's own true nature, the purpose of their incarnation and their being. So long as the self can honor this primary imperative, they experience not selfish or self-serving pleasure, nor indifferent detachment from their surroundings, but rather a deepening sensitivity to the call for service around them, an expanded ability to channel love and light into the darkness in order to be a beacon to those so entangled in the dream, to be a voice of reason and of light, to show that even when the self itself is harmed, the response can be love, and the ways in which love itself, of its own intelligence, not of the incarnate intelligence, may transform even the most hardened and broken and closed of hearts. The self can be this message, not by any particular talent or act of volition, but by a radiation of their own realization of oneness with the Creator, by their own inner work, which we are encouraging all entities, regardless of circumstance, to do. As the entity seeks, they become that which they seek. The Creator, as the Creator in its ultimate, final, and non-dual sense, cannot enter the war-torn country and separate the warring factions and readjust the scales of justice. Nor can those of your higher density friends. The work done in third density is through the entities of third density. You are each, our friends, vessels through which the Creator may do its work. The more open your hearts, the more activated and balanced your energy system, the more the Creator can pluck harmony and make music with the instrument that you are in simple and humble and everyday ways in the moment. The more that you yourself are freed to respond to the moment, not with fear or desire for retribution, but with love. In closing this, as this instrument tugs at us, lengthy response, we would offer sincere empathy and sympathy to those who suffer upon your plane, including and especially those identified in the question. What you, our brothers and sisters in these circumstances, undergo is among the, shall we say, toughest it will ever get in this octave of evolution, so far as we can speak. This is the crucible. This is the test. This is, as those of Ra have said, where the statue is forged in the fire. Every capacity of your being will be tested and pushed and pulled and stretched to its max. That you are here is not by accident. That you are here means that there is opportunity, even in this sometimes, in some circumstances, unspeakable cruelty. That you stand where you stand is not a function of cruel fate or malfunction of the system. There is purpose for you. It is yours to find, and you are comforted and strengthened by many unseen friends who shine love upon you. Whether you are upon your knees or standing proud, you are never without help. You are never without love. And the more that through faith you can become open and receptive to that love and that service, the more you may feel it imbue your being, and the more you may feel buoyed by such support. We would always encourage seekers in the situation, such as you have identified, to ask for help, and then to be open, to allow it in, however it may arrive and manifest for the self, trusting that when the help has been sought, it is always and immediately there, though it may take some time in the illusion of time for such to manifest. We hold you all, our friends, in deep respect, and as this instrument would say, we take off our hat to those of you who undergo such difficult portions of your journey. You inspire us, and we would remind each that there is always an end to darkness, and love shines eternal, forever and ever. We are those of Quo, and would ask if the questioner is still awake, if she has a follow-up?
Yes, I'm awake. And thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
We are those of Quo, and we thank you, our sister. Being able to bear witness to the sharing of spirit that we see in the entities sitting in this group today has been a beautiful gift of inspiration to us, your friends from afar. It is additionally inspiring to hear how each of you are actively seeking, actively discovering more and more of your own personal truth, and more of the greater truth that surrounds you, that steps outside of this illusion in which you dance. We feel much camaraderie, for we too, at one time, were in your spot pondering what was beyond us. It is with sincere humility that we sit as observers. We feel it is privileged to be able to see you as your authentic selves, and to see your growth, not just those in this circle, but those upon your planet. And so with this sense of honor and humility, we would ask if there is a query to which we may speak.
After one is finished channeling, there's often a sense of residue of things unexplored, nuances or aspects that didn't get conveyed. And I was thinking about our spiritual seeker and friend and wanderer in war-torn, or maybe not war-torn, but conflict-heavy area of Iran. He shared this beautiful story of, as bombs are falling, how his young daughter and her friend were making games, and there was still joy in their home as there was violence around them, and so forth. So my question is about the capacity and power of creativity, even in dire or difficult circumstances, and how creativity, and maybe even joy, might have the capacity to transform situations.
We are those of Quo, and we are aware of and have gratitude for this query, my brother. We feel that this is an aspect of the people upon this planet that has been, at times, forgotten or set aside. That element of creative expression can so easily be lost whenever one is so firmly grounded and planted within your third density experience. However, it is an essential and integral part of each entity's beingness on this planet. We understand that there are those among you who may feel that they have an easier access to that part of themselves than others. We have heard those in this circle speak before about being left-brained or right-brained to describe the ease in which they can touch into their creative beingness. And it is so that the creative expression can be a powerful vehicle for transforming one's experience. We have found that often the ability to touch into the creative beingness can be a function of the environment in which one is placed. For example, my brother, in your retelling in your query, you speak of a fellow dear self who is experiencing a very challenging environment, a war-torn system. This dear other self is surrounded by violence and a fearful environment. And it is in those moments of intense challenge that creativity can be ignited. Those with the desire to provide a more magical or even stable, lived experience make intentional efforts to access their creative beingness. You spoke of this dear other self wanting to create games for their beloved daughter as a means of transforming the reality of their lived experience. That accessing of creative beingness, in that example, is an intentional act of love, of desire to serve that other self, being that seeker's daughter. And such an act done in the name of unconditional love and service primes that avenue, opens that channel for the creative beingness to more fully express itself. There are many ways to foster this in one's daily life in less extreme, if you will, situations. The first and perhaps most important part to opening that avenue, that channel, would be to foster a sense of loving acceptance for self. For we have found that many upon your planet closed off that door to the creative beingness due to self-judgment or due to an assignment of identity. Seeing self as inadequate in their ability to express creatively, or seeing self as not someone who is creative or not someone who has time to be creative, is a quick way to close that door, or at least to push it more shut. However, when one sits in a space of full acceptance of self, of seeing the beauty and the infinite reality that is creativeness, the creative beingness, one can more fully open that door and allow that energy to channel through that self. Think you upon the ability of the Creator. And by Creator we mean capital C Creator. It is in the Creator's name, the ability to create. And if you are, in essence, a part of that Creator, are you not also creative? Is that not also innate in your beingness? Think not about how that beingness may express itself, what it may look like. The Creator has no bounds. The creation has no bounds. Why should your creativity have bounds? Why should it only be something that occurs in one's mind? Why not have it be an expression outside of oneself, one that is not stifled, one that is as unbounded as the creation about you, one that transcends even that which one can see? When one can see oneself as worthy of that, when one can see oneself as the expression of the Creator and the creation, then one can also allow oneself to be creativity itself, to be the magician working one's magic. And though in certain situations one's surroundings are challenging, the magician may work their creative magic to see beyond this veiled illusion, to part the curtain, if you will, and see the magic, the beauty, the wonder, the imperfect perfection, and to feel the love that drives all that is around you. We realize that may not take off the full sting or discomfort that comes with this experience in which you have chosen to incarnate within. For those moments of discomfort are also valid. Your experiences are valid, and the lessons learned from them are powerful. My friends, there is always space for creative expression in your incarnation, in your daily life. Even in those moments or tasks that you feel require a more logical approach, a more mature approach, there is always space for the childlike wonder that removes judgment, that fully accepts the moment for what it is, that opens the arms to embrace it and to utilize it in its fullest extent, to see it for its infinite nature. And so, my friends, work in forgiving and accepting the self will teach you how to engage more fully with that creative beingness. With continued work, continued patience, and continued grace, that courtship with the creative beingness may develop into more of what you may call a love affair. And that relationship, when tended to like your second density friends, strengthens and becomes more and more realized. It becomes more truly its reality within you, which was and always will be present. We know that life on this planet is challenging, and so we would end this sharing of thoughts by stating that there is no incorrect way, no wrong step forward. My friends, even if you find yourselves in the thick of your catalyst, in tears or in anger or in fear, unable to find the space to access acceptance and forgiveness, there will be another day, another opportunity in this lifetime or in the next to remember the true flowing of love that is inherent in everything. You will get that chance. It is through your will and faith that will be realized at the exact moment it should be. Have patience and grace for self, my friends. Tend to self in a loving way, and fear not of your creative side. Welcome it like a dear friend. We are those who quo, and we would ask if there's a follow-up query to this query, my brother?
No quo, that was remarkable. Thank you.
We are those of quo, and we thank you, my brother. We would again thank each person here for being present, for sharing the heart that has brought each one together with the group. This is a group that provides light and moves into the high heavens, as so many other groups on your planet are doing as well, to bring light to those dark places, healing to the wounded, inspiration to those who are confused. We would also like to tell you that if in your meditations you would like for us to join you, to help to deepen your meditation, we would be glad to do that, but we will not speak any words. At this time, we shall take our leave of this instrument again, thanking all for being here. We leave you all in the love and light of the one infinite Creator. We are known to you as those of Quo.